Hello everybody, Drew here, tip of the Mitt Flips, where I'm a stay-at-home dad and a part-time eBay reseller, and every 100 subscribers is a giveaway. So if you're watching, make sure you subscribe so you have a chance to win. I've got a very weird day today. I ended up having to push packing orders. Today's Saturday morning, and I have about 40 minutes before the post office closes. So I had to push stuff back to today. So I need to pull one order that was actually supposed to be out yesterday, get that packed, and any additional time I have before the post office closes, I'll try to maybe squeeze in a couple more and go to the post office, and then I'll come back and pull the rest of the orders and pack the rest of the orders as if it's a normal Friday. And I do have one order that when it sold, printed the label, packed it up immediately, and I will discuss that later in the video and why you should never, ever, ever do what I did. Ever, never, 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 ever. I took what I would call a calculated risk, and it worked out in my favor. But still, looking back, and it worked out in my favor. Would I do it again? I don't know. I don't know, because like I said, it is a risk. I thought through the process, looked through the information available, and made a decision, and that decision worked out for me. So, was it the right decision? Probably not. Did it work out? Yes. So the item I do need to pull is B4, and it's a NECA figure. B1234. It is this one right here. It is super... Ooh, okay, good. That piece is metal, so that noise is okay. It's a super shredder from Secret of the Ooze 2. I got this recently, retail arbitrage from Walmart. I bought 2 of them. This one, very damaged on the box, so I priced my other one to be the cheapest, and then I priced this one $2 below it, so that I had both the cheapest. One was damaged, and one was... It's not damaged, but the box still, the hang tags on these, it's just a poor decision for something this big. But I get it. It's a retail store. They got to do what they got to do. For that item, I accepted an offer, $23 plus shipping. I had paid $7 each for them. So like I had mentioned before about retail arbitrage, I like kind of the baseline is, at the very minimum, if I sell one, it pays for an additional or multiples. And so that right there, I've already recouped all my investment. I would have to do the math, but plus some amount of profits. I don't know how much, but plus some profits. So now when I sell the other one, 100% profit. That is perfect. If retail arbitrage could go like that every time, I would do it all the time, but it doesn't. I also have 5 TCG player orders going out for about $40. That's a pretty good set of them right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and pack that up, go run, and calm down the hectic that is the beginning of my morning. All right, so my dad was in the neighborhood, and he was nice enough to take those packages for me, which was a big help and a relief, but it is still 2.5 hours later because of life and children and bees, specifically yellow jackets. My house is infested. I kill inside my house 10 a day, roughly, and I find dead ones randomly. I thought it was just my house, and I was trying to get to the location where the hive is in a wall in my house, but I have to like take a wall apart to get to it. But then I tried to take the kids for a walk to the park yesterday, like 2 blocks to the park, and every other house had the same issue. Like one, there was a rock missing in a foundation, yellow jackets in and out. A couple houses down, same thing. We get to the park, we had to leave the park because it was so overwhelmed with yellow jackets. And so I put on Facebook that story, like, about the park, and I immediately had like 20 comments, like people who live on very different locations of town than I do. But in my area, apparently this is a year where it's an issue. I don't know. My thought was that maybe they migrated because of the forest fires in Canada, and Canada is very close to me. But when I looked it up, I couldn't find any information if they actually migrate. The only fact I found about their like movement is that they generally never go further than 1,000 feet from their nest, because their purpose is to just go get food and bring it back for the queen, kind of thing. So I don't know. It's like a big problem. It's not a little issue. I have to drain my pool because we can't even use it. I'll walk through my yard and I'll have like those little purple, I guess it's non-specific, you don't live in my area, or if you do, but there's these little flowers. They're a weed, but it's a flower, a wildflower, I guess. But they grow in patches, and there'll be one on every single one. You can't just even walk through the yard. It's insane. And everybody's like, oh, you just gotta wait till it's cold. I'm gonna wait 3 months to take care of it. It doesn't sound like a plan. So next thing going out, B2. Luckily, none of them are in the garage, is some Elvis 8-tracks. This stack right here. Oh, good. I thought those were also 8-tracks. They kind of look the same. This stack right here, Elvis 8-tracks. I got these in a Mikhail mystery box, I think. And I accepted an offer because I've sold 8-tracks before. There are some worth money, usually more of your classic rock in your albums, like your records, and your 8-tracks. Classic rock is really the one you're looking for. Once you get into the records, you can get more of, you know, your vintage metal or your modern records. Those are actually are pretty good if you can get a good source for those. 8-tracks, the one thing you should look out for, and I'll try to find a picture of it. I've done this before, but there is, I think it's on the front, where if there's a groove right here, and I'll try to find a picture and put it up so it has more substance than me saying maybe it's possibly a groove right there, then it's a different type of 8-track, and those are very rare and worth picking up basically every time. But $20 free shipping, that will go medium mail. I paid less than $1. Speaking of Mikhail mystery boxes, I actually have a Matt mystery box. If you remember the eBay seller whose warehouse burnt down from a lithium fire, he saw one of my videos where I was doing where I mentioned Mikhail mystery boxes, and he said, hey, I'll hook you with a mystery box for 20 bucks. And I guarantee at least one item in there will be worth $20 and pay for the whole thing. And so this is the stuff that I got. I don't know which item he was talking about specifically, but I do really like this one. I might keep this. I loved this cartoon. This is really cool. I'll, of course, see how much it's worth, which, as I'm saying it, of course, I'm going to sell it. I'll just put it on a shelf where I get to look at it until it sells. But I love this. This is so awesome. See all the different ones. If it was a Gomez or maybe a Lurch, I'd probably have to keep it. But that's cool. Matt, if you watched, thank you so much. I can tell that's definitely a good deal. I appreciate you hooking me up. There was so many garage sales this weekend because it's a holiday weekend. I got to go to a total of 0 of them. But I'm not upset by that because that arrived at my doorstep because my dad messaged me. He was at the sale and he said, hey, this guy says he's got a mystery box for you. Do you want me to actually get it? I said, yeah, definitely. And then Jen, my ex, a lady at where she works, was like, hey, do you want all this stuff? And I said, you make the call. If you think it's worth money because it's for free, then sure, give it a shot. If not, I can donate it. So this arrived also at my doorstep yesterday. I have an overwhelming amount of stuff here. Just when I thought I was getting caught up, just when I thought I was out, they pull me back in.
Just when I thought I was out, they pull me back in.
So I don't need more stuff. What I do need is space back in my area. So I have decided, after watching an episode of Back from Burnout last night, Mel motivated me to sacrifice the day of working on the stuff that makes me money to better facilitate the area for me to be able to make more money. I have to stop using this spot, my packing area, and usually a listing area as well. I have to stop using this for storage. I have to stop having shelves that are full 100% of the time. It never goes down. I just end up piling stuff around because the shelves are never empty. I'm also going to, yes, finally eliminate this. I'm gonna move these. I'm gonna take a whole day. It'll be today is Saturday. It'll probably be next Wednesday when the kids are all at school. I'm gonna sacrifice the whole day, and I'm gonna start by straightening up my storage unit, and then I will, after that, straighten up in here and take some inventory out there. Just box it up. This is boxed inventory. When you run out, put it on a shelf, have one shelf with just inventory to be listed, and get it out from under my feet, open up this area, be able to pull a table out if I need it, because started processing the Barbie stuff and the other toys, and already some of it sold. I have already made all my money back plus profits on that deal, and I've listed 1% of it. Next up, C5 is a Martha Stewart everyday pan. C 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It is this one up here, I'm assuming. And this has been listed a long time. That's why I'm not dealing with pots and pans anymore. I would if it was the right one. I'm just basically out. it would have to, the pots and pans would have to really convince me to do it because they take up so much space. It's pretty long tail. At least that's been my experience. If I got better stuff, would that be different? Probably. But I took an offer, $12 plus shipping. That's been listed over 2 years. And I also probably got that at either Goodwill or Salvation Army. So you're talking $2.99 to $4.99 plus tax that I paid for it. Speaking of the Barbie and book buy I did, that's one of the items that I listed is the item I said, don't do this. I probably shouldn't have, but I did. And it's already off the post office. Put the picture up. It's Dr. Seuss something zebra. I don't remember. I don't know. It's a first edition hardcover. That's not why it was valuable, though. Valuable because it is not legal to sell on, and legal is, it's against eBay policy to sell it on eBay. It's on the banned book list. I flipped through it. I didn't read it or anything, but I flipped through it trying to see if there was anything egregious, because that's the reason it got taken off eBay is because it's racist in the artistry or something like that. I don't know. I didn't really see anything that there was a guy in a turban, so I don't know if that they're considering that. That's beside the point as far as I'm concerned. If it's racist, that's the terrible thing. But banning books is a very terrible thing. That's the worst. I don't care what the context of the book is. Banning books, in my opinion, is an avenue to oppression. It's an avenue to, and I don't want to get political here, but it's a proven fact. As soon as you start trying to silence somebody, even the bad people, if you start silencing them, that's a problem. That's giving authority to people that don't deserve it, shouldn't have it. I don't want to go on a whole rant about all that, but I don't believe in banning anything, period. That's not my vibe. Do I know if something's right or wrong? Yes. Do I teach my children right from wrong? Yes. Would I take finding something like racism in an old movie or a Dr. Seuss book as a learning experience for my children? Yes, that's what I would do, but I'm not the parent to other people or children. But it's taken off eBay, and so this is why I mulled back and forth a little bit, but I put it in my head in the category of like P90X. You're also not supposed to sell that, and I have sold those before, but you should never risk your account. So I'm saying don't do this. You don't do this. Don't ever do it. Don't do it. I would never do it a second time because then it would be habitual and eBay could see that on my account and they say, no, you keep doing this, blah, blah, blah. Kind of like the Corningware Cornflower Blue pitchers. I sold one on eBay one time. I had no idea that they have a recall. Then I tried to sell one again and they pulled my listing down. That's when I found out. And then I never tried to do it again because I'm not going to push. So now I just sell them locally to people who don't care that there's a recall on it and let them know, hey, by the way, there's a recall on this. And they go, I don't care. It makes great coffee. It's perfect for my camp. So when I was looking up how I knew there was something weird, there was like 8 sold in the last 90 days and they were all best offer accepted. And then a couple auctions and they all had one bid, but they were selling for above $50. And then when I went to Terapeak to look the further history, there was only 3 on Terapeak. So I was like, oh, that doesn't make sense. And there was none listed. So that's when I figured it all out in my head. And I went, okay, so what I'm going to do, list it. I'm going to list it high. I listed it $69.99. And I'm going to accept the first offer that comes in. And I knew one was going, because there was the sell-through rate in the last 90 days. I knew an offer was going to come in immediately. It took about 20 hours. I actually did get an offer for $20 and I declined that one. And then seconds later, I got one for $50, accepted, came down into the garage, printed the label, slapped it on the thing, packed it up, and sent it off. I wanted it off the eBay system. Once the sales transpired, it's too late. There's nothing they can do about it. So I stepped out on the risk curve a little bit, but for $50, I was like, you know, if it would have been $20, not a chance. But I was like, oh, I'm going to get probably above $50 for this. I don't know. What would you have done? Give it a shot? And again, don't risk your account. Open a second account if you really want to do something like that. It was stupid of me to do, but it worked, so hindsight. Next up is a hat. It's a Ducks Unlimited hat. And I think I am going to film me doing the cleanup and reorg. I hope this is it. It is. Ducks Unlimited Committee hat. Snapback. Says vintage. I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it was a sell similar copy and paste scenario. I never myself put vintage in a title. unless I would do it if I was selling some like clothing where somebody might type in vintage backpack or vintage snowsuit, something like that. I might put it in, but in general, I don't put it in. And if it's just VTG, that doesn't do you any good. It's not helpful. Don't put that in there. If you can't fit the full word vintage and you want to put VTG, it's useless. Don't do it. Because no one's searching VTG. It doesn't come up as vintage. And once they're on your item, does it really help you to indicate that it's vintage? The person already kind of knows what they're looking for. I think it's a waste of space. You could put better keywords. If you have extra space, you can throw in whatever you want. But usually you want to maximize your keywords in your title because you get so few. For the hat, $20.69 free shipping. Next up, E3. Pop E3 is this one here. And it's a chameleon, blue, happy, crazy, agate, pop rock. That one right there. That one's kind of cool looking. And for that one, $22.99 free shipping. I did have someone ask specifically how I shipped. It was one with a Easter bunny on it. I guess it was a rabbit. Didn't have to be an Easter bunny. And it's USPS Ground Advantage. It used to be called First Class, but that is your only option for something like this. I did have somebody in the comments tell me that you can add tracking to a plain white envelope. I was going to test that today, but I ended up, like I said, my dad took my packages. It's a holiday weekend because Labor Day is on Monday. So when I take my packages on Tuesday, I will have another TCG player order going out. So when I'm there on Tuesday, I will test it out. I don't care if it needs tracking or not, which for me it won't. It'll be a $5 order, but I'm gonna go through the process just to see how much it costs, what it entails, all that, if it exists, all those things I will do on Tuesday, and it'll probably be in the Thursday to Sunday next week video. Because if you can do that, which you could go figure that on your own or do that research on your own, if you can, all you'd have to do is once you add that tracking, copy that tracking number, then go back into your eBay system and just paste it in it for the tracking number, and you would be good to go. If that is a thing, that's great for people that sell like stickers and patches and stamps, things that really you don't want to be spending $3-4 for shipping. Next up, it's some books. It is the Boy Scouts of America Wolf Cub and Bear Cub. So it's the pre-Boy Scouts, and these are vintage, antique, maybe even. Let me see, I got a year here. I do not, but these are old. I got the one at a rough shape, but that makes sense. You know, it's going into a pocket of a Boy Scout. That one doesn't have a year in it. What about this one? 1938. This March of 1938 is when this one was printed. So old. I overpaid for the one at an estate sale. I got the other one, I think for free, or it came with some other books. I'm not sure, but I think it was free. I don't remember the route to how I got it. So I am actually, I mean, I might be breaking even because I think I paid $3 or $4 for the one. I don't know why. It was an estate sale in the middle of the woods, so I don't know. It was a bad purchase. So $9 free shipping for the pair of those, and those will go medium mail. So like I said, I'm probably breaking even, but it was a bad buy. Actually, at that same sale, it's not a bad buy, but I can't do anything with them. I got those jarts up there. Speaking of banned items you can't sell. Now that, on the other hand, I would not try to sell. I don't want to sell those, because if I sell those to somebody and old drunk Uncle Ted chucks it across the yard or walks through the people playing jarts and takes it in the eye, that's on me. I'm liable. That's a weird thing, is you could sell something on eBay, like a VCR, say it had a wiring issue and their house burns down. That doesn't go back on eBay. That could go back on you as a seller. I've never heard of that actually happen to someone, but in reality, that's a thing that could happen. But I watch a lot of reseller YouTube, and I've never heard of that happening. Yeah, so I'll probably film the cleanup reorg, mostly to not show you how to clean up and move stuff around, mostly to force myself to do it, to, you know, keep myself accountable and actually get something done. But I did have a viewer question I'd like to address, because that's all the orders I'm going to pull today. Because of the holiday weekend, I'm going to pack up again on Monday, even though I can't ship them out on Monday. And I have more orders to go out, but I can do it at my leisure. I got tons of time. And I have a feeling, even though I only pulled a few things, that this video is getting long. I talk a lot. So, from Big W, Big E, how does one go about figuring out how much of their eBay income should be going back into the business? I'm sure it varies from person to person, such as inventory, shipping supplies, and the like. Obviously, taxes and all that jazz is a whole different animal. Big W, Big E. And I did answer this in the comments, but I think it's an important thing to discuss. That answer varies so much depending on who you are, what your goals are for your eBay business, eBay store, eBay adventure, and how much capital you have just in general. Starting from the bottom, say you just do it for fun, little fun money on the side, you have a full-time income, a full-time job, and you are in no way counting on the money from eBay, then most of the money will go back in your pocket because you'll go out on the weekend, you'll spend some money, you go thrifting a couple times, you spend a little money. Most of your shipping supplies you should be getting secondhand, leftover Amazon boxes. Go to your local stores, not your Walmart, but your smaller niche stores, especially stuff like little gift shops, because they get stuff that's individually boxed inside of an individual box and tons of packing material, and they have to dispose of it, and it costs them money, and those little shops would love to not have to spend money on disposal. So you can hook up with one of them, and they'll even tell you like, hey, we get deliveries the third Tuesday of the month, and you show up the third Wednesday of the month, and boom, resupplied. So for those type of people, most of that money is just gonna go right back in your pocket. You made an extra 50 bucks, woo, you go to the movies, you buy some dinner or whatever. Next from there, you would have the person who has a full-time job and a full-time income, or at least mostly, and all your bills are paid for and all your stuff is already taken care of, but you want to do eBay full-time or to grow it to a point where it actually makes you some real money. Those people should be putting 100% of the money back into the business. Every dollar you make should go back into buying supplies, buying inventory, every single dollar, so that you can grow it as quickly as possible. But you also still need the income paying your bills. Now, the third one is someone who it is your income. You should be cutting yourself a check. It should be a percentage. You don't have to go as far as to be like an LLC and make yourself an employee. Once you get to a certain point, you should, for the tax purposes, for tax write-offs and just trying to keep most of your money in your pocket instead of giving it to the government, you should be an employee. I'm not, because I don't make enough money. I don't have to worry about it. I got 3 kids and I don't make a ton of money, so none of that ever even comes close to being a problem for me. Hopefully at some point that'll be a problem I get to deal with. But you should figure out generally how much you make throughout, over a month, and take a percentage of that you pay to yourself, and then the rest either goes back towards the business or goes into a savings of some kind for the bad times, because there will be ebbs and flows, always ebbs and flows, and sometimes they're real bad for extended periods of time. And if you don't have money and a buy comes up that's really good, you're out. You missed out. You don't have to be buying stuff constantly, but if something like when I bought the shoes comes up, or even something as simple as the jewel pops, if you don't have the extra capital lying around to make those purchases, then you miss out on those big leveling types of buys, and those are crucial. So you have to have capital. So I hope that answers your question. I think those basically are the 3 categories you could be in, roughly. Take your situation and adjust those a little bit to what fits you. Well, that's gonna be all for this one. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, go ahead and give it a thumbs down. Subscribe, share, and be good to each other. Just really neat. Hey, do they ever really fix things? I have no idea what this is. What do I care? this.